Yeah, for the time period, I'd asked them because I did want a range and I didn't want anyone choosing the same event or I
Sure.
mean, statistically, you would think that that would not be the case, but you just never know.
Yeah.
And so I put up a Google Doc and I just said, once you have your time period, just throw it in there. And there were a couple of writers that, I
Okay.
mean, right off the bat, like as soon as I asked them, they're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
And then there were some that were kind of like, nah, I'm thinking this, I'm not quite sure. And then there was one writer who actually wrote 2 stories because he's a super perfectionist, and he was torn between 2 different events in the same sort of time period, and
Okay.
he sent me both of them, and we looked at both of them, and then we ended up going with one of them, and I think he's using the other one for maybe another project. But otherwise, I mean, what they sent me was what they, what I went with. I mean, there really wasn't a story that came in where I thought, oh, this just it's not working. I mean, I mean, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm really, really fortunate with this project because there wasn't an author that I had to chase. There wasn't an author who kind of phoned it in. They all just brought it.
What like, did you have a process for what order you put them in, or was it a matter of like creating a crime scene on the floor kind of thing? Or
Yeah.
how did that all work?
Yeah. So I do have a method too that I traditionally use for anthology ordering. And
Okay.
so, but then these came in. So the first came in and I just sort of read them, edited them, kind of put them aside. And as they started to file in, and I myself, just for my own sanity, just to sort of get a feel for what we had in the collection,
Yeah.
I was putting them in a grid chronologically myself, not necessarily how they came in. I was just like, oh, okay, no, I'm getting this one, from the 1980s, and I'm going to sort of save a spot here, and this one's,
Okay.
going to be during the Civil War, and it's going to be here, and I'll save this spot. But as they came in, and I was sort of putting them next to one another, I realized that the flow was working really well chronologically, and then I thought, so by the time I had about half of the stories, I decided I'm going to go chronologically with this, and it worked, especially looking at the subgenres. And they're really, I mean, there are a couple that are sort of side by side that are similar in feel, but for the most part, they're very, very different. You're going to get one that's a little splattery, and then the next one's going to be quieter, and which I like. And I also like mixing up the point of views. I don't like putting a ton of first person point of views next to one another, and it worked out that way, that it wasn't sort of repetitive. And so yeah, no, it just worked. I mean, it's the puzzle pieces just all came together very, very, very smoothly.
Cool. Yeah, and it was neat because because you did have that variation and you didn't have a continuance of a similar style or a POV or whatnot. It was, yeah, you never really got a chance to get settled. And I think that's where it really felt like that just constant, roller coaster of just going up and down with these awesome stories. So
Yeah.